I'm ready, baby. Saturday night.
Saturday night. Time for shots. 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 Clink.
Okay. Cheers.
Why are you not joining? Why is the...
Because you did that weird dance, obviously.
Well, that's not as nice a gin to shot as some of my historic ones.
Why are you always shotting gin? Like
what
you're
else
the
am I
queen.
meant to shot? Vodka.
Tequila?
Kahlua.
Huh?
Am I meant to be shotting Kahlua?
You could do a shot of Kahlua. It's not very... It's a bit uncouth, but you could do a tequila. I mean, gin's the...
I don't like tequila.
Gin's like the last one I would want to shot. Why do you like gin?
Shot of ouzo?
I mean, no, I couldn't do that. My first blackout experience was with ouzo, and I think I was 17, and I was with my friends who were 18 because I was younger, and there was at their place somewhere out like near Modbury or something, and we were pre-gaming, and we needed to get on the O-Bahn, and we were shotting ouzo and sambuca, and I don't know have you ever been on the O-Bahn in Adelaide?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we used to walk past the O-Bahn all the time. I kind of have a soft spot for the O-Bahn. For people who don't know, this is a very strange, like, Australian invention, but it's like a bus train.
Is it
so
not
it's
German?
a bus that drives on the street, and then there's like a special bus pathway, and then it goes on like an overhead, like, overpass kind of train track thing for like a direct express route bus.
Yeah, it's like a bus on tracks for a little bit, and then it gets off.
And then it gets back off and goes on the street again.
Anyway, so I was 17, smashing sambuca and ouzo, and by the time we got to the bus to go into the city, I was the last one to get on the bus of my group. And I stumbled because I was so wasted, and the bus driver, this is the last thing I remember, the bus driver was like, "You're not getting on my bus like that," and shut the door and went zooming off on the tracks. And I went and passed out in I think it was Paradise Interchange, which is not the greatest interchange to pass out at. I woke up at like 3 a.m. I had no money, no nothing. The bus is gone. My friends are in there. I don't have a phone.
Wait, your friends went without you?
No, so I was the last one to get on the bus. He closed the door, but with them
they didn't,
on,
like, come back.
But they couldn't because the bus driver closed the door and took off on the tracks. And so I woke up at 3 a.m., had no money, caught the next O-Bahn bus ride, vomited the entire time at the back of the bus, got off the bus.
On the floor?
Yeah, on the floor. Sat at the back of the bus, vomited the whole time, then realized that the bus stops at not my house because buses don't tend to do that.
So
Drop me somewhere in the city.
Some other part. Yeah.
So I'm still wasted. I smell like vomit. I probably pissed myself. I hail a cab, knowing that I have no money, to take me back to my home. Yeah. And he takes me back to my home, and I try and do a runner out the front of my house with my parents out the front. And he's like, "Dude, like, this is not, you're not even doing a runner correctly.
Run anywhere."
No. Yeah. You're like, you have to run at a different, tell me to drop you off at not your house.
Yeah.
So
he was more just disappointed at your attempt.
Yeah, he's like, "Get it together. You need to learn how to steal from me better." But anyway, that's why I don't like ouzo.
Welcome to Deep Forward, everybody. So lovely to be back. Sorry we took a week off, but it is a brilliant pleasure to be here. This is a podcast in which we talk about things that matter, and, it's just a safe space for two white guys to finally have an opinion. Sitting through the internet with me, my friend Michael. Hello.
Well, nice one, dude. Very topical. Very topical indeed. Satirical.
Saturday night, baby.
Now, you still sound like shit.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a real flu. I had a serious stab at a flu last weekend, and it was the whole fevers and shakes and congestion, and I don't recommend, when you feel sick and it's bad. I don't like that.
Yeah, I had it too. I mean, I never get sick. I got kind of sick for like 2 days with the flu, tested for COVID, negative, tested for everything, negative. It was just like, I was just a bit run down and a bit like coffee. But I gotta say, when you told me that you were sick and you were too sick to pod, and I was like, I think I had something like that last week, and you said something, made some joke about vaccinations. You're like, well, I believe in vaccinations, and I just think it was like, this is not. Look, I'm not. You're sick. It's Saturday night. I'm not here to pick bones with you, dude. So it's like, it's chill. Okay. I'm not. Yeah. I just want you to know this is chill. But it did make me think for probably 5 days straight that, for
5 days,
maybe 6. That I didn't get my 4th or 5th booster of COVID or whatever. And I haven't had my flu vaccine in 2 years, but I never get sick. And you're over there masking up at the gym still. And you're sick all the time, it seems like. So what's that about? Maybe vaccines don't work.
Well, this is the only time I've been sick this year. But, if I'm not here to point fingers, but if I was to point fingers, all 10 of my fingers would be pointed at Sean Lewis. Because Sean came to my house, he fucking Trojan horsed, and he came in, and then the next day, I started to be, on the downhill. And he said, oh, yeah, my twins have been sick. And then I got it. The whole house has been sick all week. And I was like, Sean Lewis has breached the wall. He came round to my house with Ben, 6 hours. We were hanging out. And he left his grubby little mitts all over us. And so I think if there's anyone to blame, it is Sean, and more specifically, probably his 2 infant children.
Whose names are, let's put them on blast.
Oscar and Rowan, and they are to blame. And I will be not attending any more of their birthday celebrations.
You've been put on the Deep Fort blast. Rowan and Oscar, fuck you from us. And I hope Santa gives you nothing for... You know what? Santa's not real, guys. Santa's not real. There you go.
Whoa. I know that we're angry at Oscar and Rowan right now, and I appreciate you having my back on this. But as we all know, there are lots of children listening, and we don't need to go talking about things like that affect others. So let's put that genie back in the bottle. Santa is real, and he also goes by the name Father Christmas. Or sometimes you might see a little bit of a punny name like Sandy Claus. Like a cat that was at the beach. But they're all real, and we can all believe in them.
Okay, well, Jesus isn't real then.
Jesus is fake.
We have to give him some realism.
We have to bust one myth.
But no, I kind of respect that from Sean, because you need to toughen up, dude. You need to toughen up. Who cares? You need to stop thinking about getting sick as like a problem. It's just like... I'm on the other end of the spectrum, granted, so there probably is a healthy middle ground here. But I mean, when I get sick, it takes me by surprise. And by that time, I've already been sick for 3 days, and everyone else around me has been telling me that I'm sick. And I just kind of slowly accept that. But I think you just need to be a bit more chill.
How are they noticing it? What are they seeing in you that you're not seeing in you?
Thank you for using their pronouns, by the way. I don't know how you knew that. Because I'm like coughing and probably, bloodshot eyes and probably a bit more irritable.
Yeah, drizzly nose,
coughing up blood, the classics.
Yeah. I do want to thank everyone who reached out to me with their well wishes. Obviously we're a week late on this episode, but... the kindness that's been shown from the Deep Fort community as I went through this process has been above and beyond. And I really appreciate every one of you who touched base just to check in. It was very sweet.
Name one person who did that.
I can't name any people, but as a sort of movement, I felt it,
Actually, I believe Francis Zabrecki reached out.
That is true, actually. And I think my dad actually messaged the Deep Fort account.
Yes, but not really with any sort of sympathy, but... kind of what do you call that? A deep cut just for me, and that really brighten my day, I tell you what. Still pause.
Now, speaking of the scene behind you here, I want to talk about what's been going on in the life of MZ, because there's things afoot and we haven't really talked about it in the pod, and they're imminent and I want to know things. So can you please tell us what's been happening?
All right. Get a bit personal, I guess. Well, I have a completely folded up house at the moment, because I'm moving back to Adelaide next week.
Yeah.
So we're just like in the process of, I've been going back and forth from Adelaide for the last few weeks, and the final move with the big truck is on Thursday. So going back to a little old Adelaide and taking the wife.
You did it. You're going home. So when you say with the big truck, are you driving a truck of your stuff over, or have you got like a removalist?
No, unfortunately, I am driving the truck, and I am a little bit anxious about it because I've never driven a truck before, and it's one of those horizontal steering wheels. I've actually been looking up on YouTube.
Oh, one of these ones.
Yeah.
That's fun, though. If I'm driving a truck, give me the big boy truck moves, I want a horizontal steering wheel.
Yeah, it's fun when you're not responsible for like a $100,000 vehicle, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have been looking up YouTube kind of tutorials. Well, they're not tutorials, obviously. They're just like truckies talking about the truck, and I'm kind of like using it as a tutorial.
So this is where the key goes.
Yeah. That's
well, I want to know more. I want to know why. I want to know how long this has been in the works. I want to know the process that you said you've been back and forth for the last few weeks. So what have you been doing? Where are you going to end up?
So
we go into a bit more detail.
Sure, of course. We have a little place lined up to stay there, renting. The goal is for us to save up and buy a house. Why are we going back? Well, a few reasons. We kind of hate Melbourne now. I've been here for 10 years now. Lauren grew up here, but I've been here for almost 10 years, actually probably 10 and a half years. And I moved over to Melbourne from Adelaide because I wanted something bigger and exciting, and it just felt like more exciting from little old Adelaide, and it served its purpose. And now I'm 37, 10 years older, and all I want is just a quiet life with proximity to some trees and a beach and kind of a lower gear in terms of speed of life. And Adelaide has all of that to offer. And so, we just kind of want to do that. And also we're pregnant and having a baby in January.
Oh, shit! Yeah. Dude! Congratulations!
Thanks.
You have been sitting on that. Holy crap.
Well, it's tough to know when to tell people. But I have told quite a lot of people. Initially, we've told our parents first, like probably 2 months ago.
Wow.
But I think you have to wait to the second trimester. But my initial idea was that I would reveal it on the podcast, and then it would just disseminate to everyone. And
the information, not the baby.
And when my mum asked me who I'd told, and I told her my plan to reveal it on the podcast for clicks, essentially, she was horrified. So I was like, maybe I should tell a few people. I'm going to be a dad in January, and Lauren's going to be...
Holy shit, dude.
A mum.
Congrats. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. So
that's a big part of the motivation there as well, then, to be closer to your parents. Lauren's family's over here a bit, right?
They are they are in Victoria, but they do live about 3 hours outside of Victoria, so they're not necessarily in Melbourne.
Outside of Melbourne, yeah.
And they are in a bit of a kind of flux state at the moment where they are planning their next 10 years or 10, 20 years of their life. And they might be in New Zealand, so they don't actually know where they are going. So that wasn't necessarily a huge factor. But I mean, Lauren and I were talking about potentially going to Adelaide at the start of the year, so before we found out that we were pregnant or whatever. And so it just all kind of happened, kind of coalesced.
Yeah, wow. So has it been exciting? Like, are you ready for this next phase, or are you still in like the stressful midst of it?
It is stressful. I mean, partly excited, and I'm trying to focus on that. But I guess I am more focused. I mean, I'm more concerned with how Lauren is feeling, because she's going to a place where she doesn't know anyone apart from my family and friends. So she's losing a support net, like her friends and family, whatever. At a time where like the biggest thing that's ever happened to her.
It's happening.
And so I am, she's visited Adelaide obviously, but she's never lived there. So she's going to kind of a different place. And we are doing it for reasons that, we feel strongly about. But it is just a bit, the unknown is a bit, it could, I mean, maybe it won't go well. I mean, part of why we can do this is because we both work for national companies, and our jobs are happy for us to basically work from anywhere in Australia. So we're kind of taking advantage of that. And I mean, the thing is, it's what I keep saying to her. I mean, if it doesn't work, if she doesn't like her, and if I don't like her, I mean, we can just go back. Like, you can just go back. It's not this like big hurdle. You've done it as well. You've gone overseas to move your stuff. I've moved interstate. I think once you do move, you do realize that it kind of sucks, but it's very doable.
It's a hassle, but it's you can overcome it. Yeah, people do it all the time.
You can overcome it, and you should be. I think it's way more satisfying to be agile, or to be like, if we don't like it, we can move. Have that freedom to move, have that flexibility in your life. So nothing's permanent. So I guess
it reminds me actually of when I was moving over to New Zealand, which was I had a contract for 1 year. And I was so nervous, I was shitting myself. I hadn't even moved out of home before. I was going from living at home to living in a different country for the first time. And I, jumped the gap, made it over there. And the thing that I was like clinging on to was, well, I've only got a 1 year contract, so I'll just do a year. Anyone can stick anything out for a year. You can do it for a year and then you can just come home. And, now it's like 12 years later. But it is that thing where it's like, it is actually, nothing is truly permanent until you want it to be. So,
no.
I mean, I'd be surprised based on the rationales that you have for, wanting to buy a house. Well, there's probably more options in Adelaide that are going to be closer to the places you want to be for the same sort of price or a cheaper price. So that makes sense. And you want to be in the vicinity of family? Well, there's family there. And, you've got a job already set up, so you're not going to be there and then like scrabbling to get your grounding. You just roll on with the thing you already know. So all of those reasons for moving makes sense, and the destination makes sense. And then, if down the line you want to move again, well, you've now got practice doing it in both directions, so it'll be easier next time.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I mean, it's a place that I grew up, but I mean, there is a little bit of, what's the word? It's not, apprehension. It's not, well, I guess maybe it is, but I mean, you might feel the same way as this. Like, I have my relationship with my parents is quite good now. I mean, it's up and down throughout my life, as is most people's. It's kind of a tense dynamic. But I mean, in the last few years, especially, it's been quite good. And I guess one of my concerns, if I had to pick a concern, would be that I have that distance from them now, and I check in with them and I call mum, speak to mum on the phone once every 2 weeks or whatever, and I'm in contact, and then they come over to visit, and it's nice, but I'm kind of wondering, like, is it nice because we have the distance and the space there, and then when they come over, it's always kind of a celebratory thing in a way, because hey, nice to see you.
It's fresh, yeah.
And I guess, part of me, maybe a small part of me, maybe a medium part, is like slightly worried that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to feel that claustrophobia again, or we're going to argue. I don't know. I think my parents are retired now, so there's like that. There's like, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I understand why that's a question mark, but I don't. I mean, you said it already. Like, you're a 37-year-old married man with a kid on the way. Like, there's been some growing up, and even if there are moments in which you're feeling the claustrophobia or whatever, it's not like you're going to be living at home. You have the ability to, set a boundary or get some space. You can find the rhythm that actually works for you, and maybe you become a family where they pop over every second day and they drop off some cucumbers, or maybe it's like, okay, once a week we'll go around for dinner, or once a fortnight we'll go around for dinner, and you'll find the rhythm that everyone feels is working, right? Because it's a two-way street, and you'll be learning how to be adults in each other's presence again. But as you said, they're retired now, so their dynamic's going to be different to what it was like when they were, stressed at work or having a bad day or whatever it was. Well, hopefully now they're just relaxing and, taking life a little easier.
That's a really great point. Like, the anxiety there, if you can call it that I'm kind of projecting onto this hypothetical situation is what I'm doing there is projecting the dynamic of when I was a different person and they were a different people, and applying it into this current era.
You're copy pasting what it was like when you were a kid at home, basically, or,
without factoring in
Adelaide.
that I'm older and they're older. And I get, like, just speaking to that a little bit, like, it is interesting when I told my, since they found out that we're going to have a kid on the way, I do feel like the dynamic has shifted a little bit. Like, I can't tell if I'm projecting yet or if it's real. But I think, my dad will say, I feel like my parents, like, not that they didn't take me seriously before, but, like, it just feels like more, like, they view me as, like, a man now.
Yeah, you've crossed the threshold. Yeah.
I think that's, like, it's the less, like, it's the kind of a slight erosion of the dependence on them from me in any way, to now my focus is on my family. Yeah. So it's like it kind of shifts like that. And so I'm not sure.
Well, now they know that you've had sex, so they probably can think of you as an adult now.
Anal, baby. Anal all the way. Anal works. Don't listen to the
other thing
haters.
Is, of course, they are probably. It is unavoidable now for them to put themselves in your position, right? Like, when they look at you now, they're going to be thinking about how they felt when they were, I don't know, 20s, presumably, because of previous generations, when they had their first kid on the way. And you know,
they were early 30s.
Early 30s, yeah. So there's probably like a circle of life kind of thing from their perspective where, again, it's like transferable, where they're like, holy shit, the kid that I had is now having a kid, and I remember what that was like, and I remember what I wanted from my parents, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure that it has caused them to see things differently. Not in a bad way, but just like it's unavoidable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, I'm kind of imagining when you're a kid, you think your view of your parents is like they know everything, and it's like wow, these giants, and like they just have all the answers, and I guess I guess to some degree that's true, but like then you get to 37 and I'm like 5 years older than my dad had when he had me. 5 years older. And I still feel like a kid. Like if you know, if anyone asked me, like, who am I to show anyone how to, you know, guide them through life? I'm no one. I mean, but I'll have to be, you know, just will have to be.
Yeah, I mean that's the journey, right? It's interesting because like my parents got married. I think my mom was like 21 or something, like so young, so, like crazy. I forgot that you do remember exactly when my parents got married. But like so young, and when I think back to myself as a 21-year-old, it's like Jesus Christ, like what a child. And even, you know, people who have kids at that age, and it's not, I'm not making a judgment, but I just think like, holy shit, like the person I was then versus now, and even today, you know, as you just said, you question your ability to do this thing. It's like, it's a entirely other thing to imagine doing it 15 years ago. Like that's wild. You would have to have like a circle of friends and family to support you with that, because you barely have a job. You know?
Yeah, to what you were saying, people, it does hit you quite hard when you get especially to our age, that people like our parents and their parents had to grow up so much faster, and you can almost see it in their face. I mean, there's that thing that comes up every now and then, you know, on the internet, where, you know, they look at like George Costanza at 40 or whatever, and there's that thing, and there is like you know, you see even the way that people, you know, dress. You know, you see guys who have podcasts, for example, they're wearing like caps and stuff, and like my if you got me to draw or imagine a 40-year-old person when I was 10 years old, it would be in a suit and have a briefcase and a, you know, fedora or whatever. Fedora. I don't know why I threw that in there. I was really into fedoras as a sign of authority
of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing signals a man who knows business more than a fedora.
Like a fedora and a briefcase.
Fedora. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, even the way that people dressed is so different, and I feel like there is this. I mean, it is kind of. Do you find it kind of encouraging in some way that you're like, oh, maybe 50 is the new 40 is the new 30? I've forgotten how that goes.
50 is the new 30. 30 is the new 50. Yeah, no, first way. Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, but maybe there is that. I mean, maybe you don't do this as much as I do, but I'm like, there is kind of a part of me that's like kind of comparing in the background, generally in life, like comparing where I think I should be at in terms of, it's kind of bullshit, and I'm not strict about it, but there is a part of me that kind of measures myself up to a certain yardstick, but maybe that yardstick is kind of is off by maybe even a decade, and I'm like, oh, that'd be great.
Are you measuring against previous generations, or are you measuring against your peers, like other people our age?
A bit of both. It's not an exact equation that I'm doing here, but like I think a bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think our generation really has had a strange experience, and to be fair, it's true of Gen X as well, where our entire lives have been defined by a generation above us that hasn't moved. So if you look at the American context, there has never been a president younger than a boomer, right? Like even today, still boomers. When
you say hasn't moved, what do you mean by moved?
So Bill Clinton, baby boomer. George W. Bush, baby boomer. Barack Obama, baby boomer. Donald Trump, baby boomer. Joe Biden, actually slightly older, but silent generation. This generation has held on for 5 presidencies, 20 years, right? More. Bill Clinton, 30 years, right? There hasn't been this like generational progression. Healthcare has helped people live longer. Those people that are living longer have worked longer. Those people that are working longer are holding on to top positions of power and decision making, right? So it's things we see all across the world. It is a political problem. It is like a economic problem. But the effect of it has been this sort of stunting of generational progression. So historically, once you hit like 60, you were out, like people retired, you had maybe 10 or 20 years, and the next generation came through and it was their time to like hold the reins. But we've grown up in a world in which the same people that were in power when we were born are the same people in power now. So there's this feeling of like, we're getting older, but we're never the ones in charge. We're never at the top of the pyramid. We're never, able to make the change or whatever.
Yeah,
and
we never made
like,
that next
emotionally
progression level that happened historically from every other generation.
Totally. So when people were getting married in their 20s and they were entering the workforce, well, that was in an era in which you could get a career in your 20s, when you could have some degree of like upward economic mobility, where people were clearing out at the top end and retiring earlier, but people are working into their 70s, later. And so as a result, we have a generation, I think, that has come up feeling like we're waiting. Like the opportunities that were promised for us in terms of jobs and things have sort of evaporated, but also just the inability to have agency over the direction of our lives or the world, right? We're in a holding pattern. And I'm not out here, begrudging people for living longer, but I think the effect of it has been that we have people who are 40 years old feeling like kids because everyone's parents are still around. Back in the day before you had healthcare, everyone was dying a lot more, And again, this is a good thing for the net, purposes of society, but and family units and all other reasons. But the result is, as you say, I'm nearly 40, but I still feel like a kid in my 20s. And obviously that's not true in every aspect, but there is a sense of like, well, I'm not quite an adult yet. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, it's a very interesting point. I've never thought about like that, but I think you're right. There's like this generational arrested development that I guess everyone has. I mean, on the plus side, it means that we look younger because we're less stressed, because we have less responsibility, because we can't get responsibility. So
also,
there's that.
We wear sunblock, yeah.
And we drink more water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you're right.
And we didn't smoke. Smoking is the crazy one as well. Like when you look at those photos of like...
We didn't smoke.
as a group. When you look at like the sitcom actors, from the 80s, and it's like these grey-haired, balding kind of like actor types, and you look it up and they're like 31, you're like, holy shit. And it is genuinely because everyone's drinking, smoking, and like not using sunblock. It's sincerely made a huge difference.
Well, grey hair doesn't necessarily signify anything other than
no
kind of distinguishedness. But I mean, my only pushback on that, what you just said, is that do you think what you're saying there, where you're saying we're almost 40 and we don't feel like we have actualized as proper adults? Do you think that everyone has always felt that? And B, do you think it is partly because of the career path that you've chosen? And I would say the same for me as well. Because we both know people in, that we grew up with, whatever, they're getting made partner at the law firm and stuff. I guess part of me, I think in Adelaide, most of the friendship group that I have there are quite settled down and have kids and have, jobs and careers
Steady job,
that they are, kind of really in knee deep in at the moment. And in Melbourne, my group has kind of been a bit more motley crew, ragtag, more creative and artistic, but less settled down in the traditional sense. So what do you think?
I think you're totally right. I think that's undeniable. I don't work in an office, and that would definitely be one of those aspects that is like a rhythmic kind of undercurrent to a life, right? Like if you're the guy who gets up every day and dresses in your suit and tie and goes to work and commutes and then comes home again, that's going to feel like adulthood in a different way than like me in my Ugg boots sitting in my office making up shit about video games, So I totally, that is a choice that I've made. But I do think outside of that, there is still a sort of a generational thing going on in terms of the dynamics of society and the people that are still here and the people that are in charge outside of, those individual things.
Yeah. I mean, part of me suspects that I was kind of running away kind of subconsciously from that lifestyle. I was kind of subconsciously scared before I moved to Melbourne from Adelaide. I think I was running perhaps away from that lifestyle that I started to see a lot of my peer group there kind of go down.
I mean, it's interesting because I remember when I was studying at uni, so I did law and media, it was 5 years. And after 3 years, I had some friends who'd done like accounting degrees and they were working in accountant office jobs at age 21 or something, around that vicinity. Straight into uni, out of school, 3 years, boom, straight into an office. And I remember thinking like, fuck, that guy's got like, that's a job. Like that's a career. That's not a job. I'm working at the movie theater and that guy has a career. And it is definitely, it's not a judgment. It is just a reflection of the difference in people, which is a wonderful part of society. But I think some people want to go do new things, and some people look forward to the rhythms of stability. And depending on the kind of person you are, when you get out of high school or when you get out of uni, some people want to go spend 3 years, traveling around the world. And some people want to move cities because they want a bigger city and they want excitement and they want nightlife. And some people are more than happy to get the steady job that they're working to in uni and settle into, grown-up life. And I think you're right that the people that were at the place that you grew up are probably going to be the people that chose the latter. And the people that you met when you moved are more likely to be the people that wanted different things. And it's just interesting to see that ultimately you've now had the experience and are ready to go and try. You're not giving up one or the other, but you're returning now that you're grown up effectively. You've had life experiences to what they were ready for 15 years ago.
Totally. And I think I think perhaps if a couple of years ago, the idea, if I was going back to Adelaide under different circumstances, it would feel different. But because it's a conscious move, we're consciously moving for reasons that we are clear about. It feels like a lot better that way. And I think when I was younger, I think I was chasing that kind of adventure and change and wanted to travel and have new experiences, and all of that led to me being in Melbourne. And by the way, I mean, I moved to Melbourne and studied journalism here, and it's actually been really good. It wasn't just like a kind of a tangent thing that I was trying. It was like I started my career here, and I don't think I would have been able to do that in Adelaide. There's just not the same opportunities. So it's actually been very beneficial in that sense. But
totally.
Like when I was younger, I probably would have thought that, the people that kind of, I don't know, even if they were married their high school sweetheart and kind of knew their career at 21, as you said, and were happy living in Adelaide, I kind of probably would have been judgmental or been like, oh, that's boring, if I'm being honest. And now I think with age, I'm more aware of the fact that like people just have different needs and wants and desires and get satisfaction out of life in different ways. And that's, and that's also to say, like, there's different ways to get your adventure fix and your stability fix, because I've kind of had, I mean, I'm maybe, like, if you can call, like, in the context of this conversation, being adventurous as someone who left Adelaide and going to Melbourne, or in your case, to New Zealand. Yeah, maybe there was that, but I've also really only ever been in long-term relationships, so that there's a stability there that clearly I am anchoring myself to. So there's different speeds.
Yeah. No, totally. The other thing is the job side of it, because for me, I have the kind of brain that likes a job where things are new frequently. Things are new and creative every day, and there's different challenges, and it changes. And I've ended up in a field that allows for that flexibility in terms of hours, in terms of projects. I can have 4 things on the go at once. I can bounce between ideas. I can change genres. I can change media. And that gives me a satisfaction in terms of a career in which I'm doing something that I love doing and that I'm stimulated by and invested in and satisfied by. And that, as a job, is actually pretty rare, right? Most people's jobs are work, and the word work is used as a pejorative, in some contexts. It is a thing you have to do. It is an obligation. It is uphill. It is perhaps monotonous or whatever, but it's the thing that pays the bills. And so you do a job that gives you a salary, and then you find that enrichment out of those 9 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And some people going into their career at the start, maybe they know it consciously or maybe they don't. Some people make the calculus that the job is not going to be the satisfaction, perhaps, but it's going to be the stability that allows them to go out on a Wednesday night for dinner, or, spend their weekends rock climbing, or, do the other thing that counterbalances perhaps a day-to-day job that isn't thrilling for them. And for me, because I chose a direction in which the job itself is satisfying, I don't actually have too many like other hobbies out on the weekend, right? I'm not trying to
you're doing
find
your hobby for work.
I'm doing my hobby. I'm not also then out there trying to be like a judo master or whatever. People make different calculations about how they want to allocate their time, and it's perfectly reasonable and probably more sensible, to be honest, to pick a job that you can live with, that isn't that stimulating, but pays you a good or great amount of money. And then you can spend that other time and other, days of the week doing whatever the fuck you want.
Yes.
And not everyone chooses that,
I definitely hear you here, and I think that's true. But if I can just offer a slightly more cynical pushback on that, and that is that I think the majority of people don't really know what to do on the weekends. They don't really have hobbies that they want to get to, which is why you've never worked in an office, but you can imagine.
I worked in an office when I moved over here. I did 3 years in an office, but not in like a lawyer's office or something.
The water cooler talk. It's why most of the conversations that happen in a corporate environment are the most insufferable conversations, because everyone just talks about the weather and did you see the latest TV show and the sports team and I do think for a lot of people their career is their life, maybe because they don't know who they are outside of that.
That could be true.
Do you think that's too cynical?
I don't think that's cynical. I mean, if we take a step back even further, the reality is our education system doesn't do a great job of guiding people towards things they're passionate about. It might point you towards things you're good at, but that doesn't necessarily mean you like what you're doing. And it isn't also motivated towards fulfillment or towards happiness. It is sort of guiding towards productivity or economic potential, right?
Yeah.
So when you get out of high school, you might have done your basic school subjects, and then you're thrust into a question of, well, what do I want to do? Do I go work at it like a hospitality job? Do I try and study some tertiary education? If I do I want to pick up a trade? Do I want to go to TAFE? Do I want to go to like university? And then if I go to that, well, then what choices do I make there? At university, maybe I'd love being a chemical engineer, but how the fuck do I know that? How am I meant to work out which opportunity is right for me? And
that it's actually insane. Like, I do want to talk. It's too big for this pod, but I do want to talk to you about how insane the tertiary kind of system is, that we expect people to know what they want to do and basically bet on it with like serious money in terms of their HECS debt. It's like, it is a crazy system.
Yeah. And I say all this with a lot of empathy for people, and certainly, it's not coming from a place of judgment, but I do think that more often than not, people probably trickle down they start taking steps down a pathway, not really knowing where it's leading. And then an opportunity comes up, and that's sort of what they fall into. And then a job comes, and that's sort of what stability is. And then you stay at that job because it pays enough, and you're trying to do another thing like buy a house or whatever, or you want to go traveling or whatever it is. And you sort of like this inertia carries you through. And again, it probably isn't optimized for enjoyment. And, my sister, for example, when she first went to uni, she studied economics and got like a year in, and then was like, why the fuck am I doing economics? And then she did a real estate degree, and then she ultimately is now working as an occupational therapist. But like, how the fuck you're meant to work it out first time round, is crazy. You just have to hope that either you end up in a place by complete chance that you can tolerate. And I do think a lot of people probably end up settling, which has a pejorative context, but like, find a place that at least you can live with, where the perks are high enough for you to, get the happiness that you want, either at the job or elsewhere. But if you're not willing to like keep pushing and try your 4th degree and your 5th job and your 6th job and like keep going, it's probably unlikely that you're going to end up first time out finding something which is the source of happiness itself. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you had pressure from your folks and your community at that time when you were deciding what to study. I certainly did. We both went to quite academic schools, and there was certainly an expectation that you would go on to university, and it was also kind of a softer, at school it was a softer kind of pressure to really try and work out what you're going to do, which I guess part of that is perfectly fine. In my household, that pressure was a lot stronger to work out what you're going to do, and I remember feeling really panicked about that at the time, and I'm so glad. I mean, I ended up studying social sciences as an undergraduate degree, and I kind of picked it because I was into Richard Dawkins massively at the time, and there was a bit of anthropology in there, and I saw that they had anthropology. You could major in anthropology if you studied social sciences. Effectively, it was a kind of an arts degree, but I'm and that kind of in my head at the time. I kind of thought that would satisfy my parents, and it did. Like, it was kind of an educated kind of guess at, like, because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to do, And I'm so glad I did that, because it gave me. I mean, people, we've talked about this, but people shit on arts degrees, and man, like arts degrees, I'm not sure if they're declining. It kind of seems like they are in the conversation, or maybe there's more of a focus on doing a degree that's actually going to get you a career. But like, man, I am so glad I did my social science arts degree, because it wasn't targeted at any one specific profession, but it gave me the freedom to think and be creative, kind of intellectually, and I know you're the same. I mean, law's a much more versatile degree, but like for guys like us, I think you need to have that kind of like more like a canvas than a conveyor belt.
Breadth, yeah.
I mean, I would happily encourage. I mean, there's going to be no jobs or money or life when.
Well, yeah, everything's going to be AI and robots anyway. So fucking study something that you care about.
But I mean, I would strongly encourage if they wanted to. That's their pronouns. That's the second time I made that joke. Cut that out. If they wanted to study an arts degree, I have no issue. I'd be like, that's awesome. I mean, yeah.
You set me up for my my wedding speech joke of yours. Do you remember the line?
You want me to say your funny line?
No. I'm just asking if you remembered. Michael went on to study anthropology, presumably because it was one of the first listed alphabetically.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about your wedding speech the other day.
In a good way?
I'm not sure. I just remember you calling me a dickhead. I was trying to think of like if I registered at the time that's what you said, because I think in the moment I didn't hear you. Anyway, that's for another time. This is just a side note, and it's kind of, I'm just adding this as a post-it note to like kind of the conversation that we were having 13 minutes ago, but just to the realizing that at 21 that your people in your year at school had serious jobs in accounting or whatever. I put it on the news the other day, ABC. I saw Matthew Doran. I don't know if you know Matthew Doran. He's a reporter at ABC. He's literally the correspondent he's in Tel Aviv on my TV screen. This kid was 2 years younger than me. He did music and stuff all the way through. I'm like, Matthew fucking Doran
is in Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv as the ABC's chief Middle East correspondent. And I was like,
wow.
Turn off the TV right now. I cannot handle that.
I'm too old for this shit. Yeah.
I cannot handle success from younger people.
That's funny. That's cool. Well, gosh, life's changing, man. I want to say it again. Congratulations on the pregnancy. That's so exciting. I'm very happy for you both.
Thank you. Hopefully it's mine, but we will see. And we've chosen.
You are getting a DNA. You said the first time when you found the news, you said, "I want a DNA test." Yeah.
And the doctor thought that was a little bit aggressive. But I said, DNA, check it. We've chosen not to know the sex of the baby. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion. I guess I won't bake that cake for you for the reveal party, but that's okay.
We don't want that big penis cake. That's not appropriate, regardless of the gender.
I had a preference, okay? I was leaning one way.
You know what? Screw it. Give us the penis cake.
What about a penis cake, but it's pink on the inside because you're having a girl? Does that still work?
Best of both worlds. Brilliant.
There you
Perfect.
go. Perfect. Alrighty. Well, before we get too much further on into this, I thought I should mention the release of a video game that I worked on that came out this week. The Sinking City 2 is out now on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5.
Yeah, baby.
I worked as a writer on this for 3 years. This is with a company called Frogwares. They are Ukrainian-based for the most part. 95% of the teams in Ukraine to this day. And they have been making a video game in a war zone for 3 years. It has been extremely hard. They have worked extraordinarily diligently to elevate, not just deliver the same thing they had done at previous games, but lift up the production value, the quality of their work, change genres into a brand new echelon that they'd never hit before. And it's finally come out this week. It's getting 7s, 8s, 9s out of 10s. Like, I think the average Metacritic, which is like Rotten Tomatoes, is 80 or something odd. So it's been very positively reviewed. People are loving it. I've been watching people stream it. There was like videos that had 250,000 views on it. There's live streams with 2,500 people watching. And it's just so nice to have something that you worked on, a piece of art out in the world, and have it connect with people. It's just really cool. So if you're a gamer, if you like a survival horror, if you like a bit of Lovecraft, cosmic horror, please check out The Sinking City 2. I worked on it. I'm very proud of it. And this amazing team deserves support. They made this game despite 14 members of their staff being drafted for the war, despite people's houses being blown up by missiles, despite power cuts and fires in the office. They are troopers in every sense of the word, and they deserve a look. So please, The Sinking City 2. I'll pop the link in the chapter title.
Dude, that's so sick. Like, it's not sick that they're getting bombed, but it's so fucking badass that they're like getting bombed while making a fucking sick game about war. Like, it's sick. Like, I respect it. I'll never play it because I don't have
the consoles or the horror tolerance.
But I love it.
It has shaped the game. In broad themes, it is like a love story. It is about a guy trying to rescue his girlfriend and persevering through untold horrors, and that's soaked in the reality of the lives that they're living in. The sound when you go outside your house, there's this alert sound that goes off, and it is literally the air raid alert from Ukrainian cities when they're about to be hit by missiles.
Oh,
They've recorded
God.
it and put it in the game for real. The
That's
fireworks
so good.
in the there are fireworks that go off in the city. The sound of those fireworks is the sound of the anti-drone missile defense system exploding Russian drones. They've taken the life and the vibe and the feeling of their everyday existence and then transformed those horrors into art and persevered and put it out as a big fuck you to Putin, to be like, how dare you think that this is going to stop us from doing what we're good at and what we love? Like, their resilience and creativity. I'm in awe of it. Yeah,
that genuinely made me want to play it. Maybe I'll just become a gamer.
I can send you, like, you can watch people play. There'll be people.
What console is it?
It's on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5.
I've got a PlayStation 5 or a 4.
You've got a 4. But I can send you a video even if you want to like soak in the beginning of it a little bit. Like, you can see the vibe of it. And
let me soak, baby. Let me soak. I went on Metacritic just to fact check you there, and you are correct. Reviews on Metacritic for Sinking City 2 off the charts. I'll just read one of the many 10 out of 10s on here. Alinka Payonka, absolutely butchered that name. What an amazing game. Frogwares nails the shift to survival horror, wading through flooded 1929 Arkham as Calvin Rafferty is tense, terrifying, and dripping with atmosphere from start to finish. Weighty combat, scarce ammo, and horrors lurking around every rotting corner. This chick writes well. It runs beautifully. She didn't write that. That was me ad-libbing. It runs beautifully and easily holds its own against the genre's best. I loved every minute. If this is what they can do, I can't wait to. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Just rave reviews.
I didn't even pay you to read that out. Yeah, it genuinely, and I say this with incredible bias, but I do believe it is a really good game. I think it fulfills the brief, and everyone involved is and should be very proud of it. And the best fun for me, the best fun as a writer, when you do something and you put it out in the world, is then having people not just consume it, digest it, but then like interact with it, pull it apart, connect with it in certain ways, start to like connect themes, read into things, find references, find, connectivity, point to this moment and how it sets up that moment, point to this, thematic thing or twist. And I love, because there's like forums, that like a Discord channel for the company where people come and talk about it. There are reviews, there are streamers who are playing the game. It is so satisfying to watch people, delve into something that you've made and find meanings or find different ideas than you had when you were making the thing, or that are not true, but they're really resonating with. And you just get to watch it like take on its own life in other people's eyes and hands.
Yeah, what was the trend? What was that transition there for you from when you stopped working on it and stopped kind of thinking about it as you were working on it with like the text on the screen or whatever you had in your workflow, and versus now when it's out there released and you're kind of seeing it through other people's eyes? Are you seeing it as a kind of an entity unto itself now?
I'm not fully objective to it yet. There's still, it's not a strong part of my job, but there is ongoing work on it because we encounter bugs or, people hit problems. That's more on the technical side of things. But every now and then there's a little bit of, I'll spot something that's a typo or that we need to change that might have to be interacted. So I can't say I'm like fully hands off of it yet. And maybe it would take me truly knowing that the game was done for it to feel like its own thing. But it's definitely true that, like some of these things that we worked on, they're 2 years ago that I was actually doing it, and they've been set in stone so long because, I was writing the cutscenes, I named the characters. Like that's so long in the past now. But now every time someone says Calvin and Faye, I don't even remember that I chose the names Calvin and Faye, So there is some sort of distance depending on when it was that I last touched it. But because when I'm writing a cutscene, that is the starting point of years of work of motion capture artists, like getting into a studio and like doing this, wearing the suits and like picking up objects or, having scenes that they use to track the characters. And then the voiceover artists in the booth come in and read the lines. And then the animators go and like mix all the two together. The level design people, the lighting people, this multifaceted, the sound, all the music that's put in behind it all. All of it is so many other subsequent steps after my work that when I do see a final cutscene, I just get to enjoy it at this point because my part of it was like years ago. And I just get to enjoy the fact that now this finished product has its own life from all the other artists that came after me to make it real.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I mean, it is like just kind of to refer to what we were talking about earlier. I mean, it is like you're doing really interesting stuff. Like you're getting to do some really cool, interesting, unique stuff. Like, can you appreciate that in the moment? For all the struggles that you had, the lack of money, the lack of certainty, in the early years, whatever, about your job prospects, the freelancing kind of up in the airness of it. Like the trade-off is that you get to do way more interesting work than a tax return. You get to do
I still have to do a tax return. You should also be doing a tax return.
I thought it was just accountants.
It is true. I mean, I still have those fears, like now that this project is out, like I do have to start worrying like, okay, what's the next big meaty thing that'll like hold on to for a couple of years? Because that is a question. And it's a, I'll worry.
It's a cock.
It's a cock. But the benefit, as you say, is that I get this excitement, in the moment to moment life of this job. And then the gratification of getting to put something out there and have literally thousands upon thousands of people play and enjoy it. Like that's really exciting. And you get some
creative ownership over that as well. And that must be so rewarding.
I have creative ownership in very small ways. I find it hard to claim ownership over anything because it is such an enormous team. It's not like I'm a singer-songwriter and I can record something and then release it, and maybe you had a sound engineer and that's that. There was 100 people working on this game, and I can write as many words on a Google document as I like, but it doesn't exist until actual game designers make it.
Yeah, but in the same way that like the cast and crew of a movie, they're all there's like hundreds of people, but they're all working towards this thing that they're, creating together.
Yeah.
And you need all of
But there's multiple people in the narrative team as well, like it wasn't just me writing every idea for this game. It took lots of effort, but there is certainly an ownership that I feel. I was one of the last people in that team on it, by release day. So I proofed all of it, like all of the English text in the game I read through, and that meant I got to do things like pick people's names, and Michael, you've got cameos in it. Your mum's got a cameo in it. Like a bunch of my friends, I put names in because I can choose names of things. And there's 80,000 words odd or more. And at a certain point, you need to have names for things. So why don't I just put my friends' names in? And that's fun. That's nice. So I do get to, like, when KC's playing through the game, I'd be like, there, it says Dr. K. Chu, the physician. That's you. Like, I put that there.
You must be really fun to play games with. You.
Is that why he doesn't do it?
Pause. This part. Pay attention to this part.
Go back.
No, I told my mom, I said, Nick's named a character after you in the video game. And she said, and I quote, "Oh, that's nice." So, yeah.
Well, she's a big gamer, so she would understand.
Yeah, she's more of a FIFA guy. But
it's funny. Your entire family seems to be into FIFA.
We're into other stuff.
Yeah. Name 3 other things.
Oranges.
Anyway,
well done.
It's cool.
Well done. And shout out to the Frogware dudes, the fucking legends.
Shout out Frogwares. Shout out Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. And if anyone out there is a gamer, please check it out. It's genuinely, it's a very good game.
Hell yeah.
If you've enjoyed this episode, thank you so much. It's been nice to talk about ourselves for once instead of things that are relevant to other people. You can get in contact with us if you have feedback or questions of your own. You can do that by reaching out to deepfort@gmail.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Leave a little review. It's all very positive and helpful. If you're in Spotify, of course, every episode has a comment box where you can leave a singular comment for each episode. Michael, it's been a few weeks, but are there any things we should pick up from last week?
There sure is, Nick. We got a comment last week from a regular commenter and listener, Mauve. Which
I'm sure it's
Mauve, which I'm pretty sure is Maggie. It is funny because Maggie's clearly listening, if it is Maggie.
And leaving comments and not confirming or
and just
denying.
not confirming, which I respect, honestly. But she commented on the last episode saying, "Great new segment," referring to my segment. "I defend how Michael moves through the aisles." So that is the best comment we've ever had.
The new segment was your am I
overreacting?
An arsehole?
Am I overreacting? Oh man, that's
the jingle. People like the jingle.
Climbing the charts, that one.
Thank you, Mauve and or Maggie. That's good. And yeah, that's sort of how the outro goes. So thank you very much for participating in the outro.
I saw Massive Attack last week.
Massive Attack, the band?
No, just the action.
You saw a Massive Attack.
I saw Massive Attack, the band, one of my top 5 favorite bands. They announced they haven't played Australia or New Zealand in, I think, 15 years. Are you a Massive Attack head?
I can't say that I'm
You liked
huge...
Paradise Circus, I remember that.
I probably know or like 4 tracks of theirs, but I honestly have never even deep dived. I don't think I've listened to a proper album or anything. I'm curious to know how they are as a live band. They must be similarly like Radioheady age, like 50s now.
I think as a guess they'd be about the same age. They are, one of my top 5 bands, pioneers of trip hop, which is the best genre of music as far as I'm concerned. And they announced that they were playing a show in Australia, haven't been here for 15 years. Tickets go on sale in a week, and they're going to be here in a month and a half. They announced it a month and a half out. So it was
right before.
It was very sudden. It was like, holy shit. So I mean, tickets were crazy expensive, dude. Like $185 for GA.
Jeez.
I went on, managed to get a ticket. Thought I would have a crew with me. Turns out no one was going. Elise was going with me as well. She said she had a ticket, but then realized the day of that she had a seated ticket because someone else bought it for her.
Oh.
So I went. Casper at one point said he was going to come over because he loves them as well. So I was going in with no one on a Tuesday night, $185 ticket at Rod Laver Arena. Don't love arena shows, whatever. That's fine. So I ended up messaging Andy Hanley, our mutual friend, the night of, because he's been to every gig ever. And of course he was like, yep, I'm going to go. So I found him in the line. It took an hour for us to get in the line. We were there an hour and a half before the show. By the time we got through the doors, the band had started, which was crazy.
Why was it so slow?
They fucked up. I've been looking for like announcements from it, but I was talking to other people in the line that said that they have, they've been to like Taylor Swift, for example, there, and they've never seen anything like it. Like, we were there early and we got in after
still missed
the band.
it.
It was crazy. So by the time we got in there, we were sitting right at the back near the mixing desk. Now, you said you don't know much about Massive Attack, but basically
I'm familiar, but yeah.
But like the surrounding, one of the strong rumors going around for a while was that the main guy from Massive Attack was Banksy. That was I think that's been just debunked now, but for like 10 years it was suspected that he was Banksy. But they have become increasingly very politically outspoken and activists, specific, especially with regards to the Free Palestine movement.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it was going to be politically charged concert. Now they played essentially the entire show with the band in black, in the dark. And they had on the screens images of, death and destruction in Gaza, Trump shaking hands with Netanyahu, spliced in all this stuff. So the focus
explicitly,
was this kind of documentary that they had put together. Yeah. And they basically soundtracked it. And look, this was the feeling that I had. And I just kind of want to just pass it by you because I was kind of met with a lot of resistance when I was trying to have this conversation with some of other people who were there. I have nothing against the message. I have nothing against bands being politically active. I like it I do like it. I mean, there's plenty of bands that I like that have a strong message and activists in that way. What I really couldn't connect with was the fact that they had basically soundtracked this mini documentary that they'd put together, and it was also spliced in with words like "this is not okay" or "this is not usual." Like, it was kind of very on the nose, basic kind of messaging, but everything was so blatant and obvious. And again, I don't have an issue with a band taking a political stance, but with a band like Radiohead, and yes, granted, they've had some criticism for kind of the opposite end of this, but for staying silent, basically. But with a band like Radiohead, that there's political intention with some of their songs. You know that, but you couldn't really pin it down to one. It's never specific, and that is what I felt like I couldn't get my head around, just being force-fed a political message that was so obvious and blatant. And when I was trying to have this conversation with other people that were there, I mean, they're playing to Melbourne, probably the wokest city in the world. I mean, in between songs, people would chant "Free, Free Palestine." Like, this is what happened just off their own accord. People would just chant that because they knew that was a safe space. But what effect it had on me as a punter and a Massive Attack fan was that I felt more like I was at a rally than at a concert, and that they are well within their rights to do so, to do that, to use their platform to do that. Maybe don't charge me $185 next time. But I mean,
I was going to ask. Yeah, continue.
I mean, I understand, like, if it's the message that they really, and they're completely devoting themselves to, they are well within their rights to do that, and that's what everyone said when I had this conversation with them. But it's so much more effective for me when, maybe you're the same, when there's like an ambiguity to art. When it's art, there's the ambiguity of it all, like the suggestion maybe, but the ability
when
with
there's
art,
subtlety or nuance perhaps,
and what that does
versus
is
being beaten over the head with it.
Exactly, and what that does is it gives you the ability to kind of access different ideas within that kind of political universe, maybe, and maybe think about it from a different angle, and it kind of maybe it changes your meaning over time or with events and stuff, and that's the beauty of it for art, and that's why I love Tom York's lyrics so much. But it was a strange thing, just being just stating exactly the most obvious, Netanyahu bad, Israel bad. Like, I'm not disagreeing with the message at all. I want to be clear, but I don't know. And just to my other point here about it being a rally, like the analogy that I made, or the hypothetical that I made to people when I was trying to communicate this kind of frustration, I guess, that I had about this, was that, like, if you inversed it and you saw maybe clips online of a Kid Rock, there was a Kid Rock concert in Melbourne, and on the screens he was singing whatever song he sings about fucking the American eagle and tits and ass or whatever, I don't know, and on the screen he had like images of like illegal immigrants being sent back home, hoorah, like, you would think it's so cringe and like, oh my god, dude, like that's what everyone would feel, and they should.
Like, tone it down, yeah. Like,
it's just like so blatant and obvious. It would be like kind of like sad. And I'm not saying that this is sad, but like, it's also like, just because the political message is kind of almost universally, everyone can agree of what's happening there. It doesn't make it like not cringe to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky. I do understand the idea of like spending $180 for a concert and then turning up at a rally is
$185.
I can understand how there's a mismatch of expectations there. It'd be one thing to be like told like there's going to be a Free Palestine rally and Massive Attack are going to perform for it, and you turn up and it's like, well, maybe I still pay $50 or maybe it's a free thing, but like I'm there and we're all unified about what our goal is here and we understand the thing. And it's a different thing to be like at a concert and then have effectively no vision of the band and like this documentary playing on the screen above your heads the whole time. I can see how you could grade it. What's the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's just not interesting. That's kind of my gripe.
I could see how you could run up against that and like struggle with the context there. Yeah. Particularly if it is so blunt an instrument.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's not got space for you to actually like watch the thing as a documentary, like if it is going to be a thing that you can engage with and learn something from and like connect to, well, then that would be more effective. But perhaps what you're seeing is actually a very blunt instrument that's not doing its job.
No, I mean, look, it's very possible that it's just not doing its job for me, and it had a profound impact on some other people. So, and they're well within their rights to do that. And if you believe so passionately in about a particular issue, injustice in the world, and you're going to use it, there's part of me that really respects that. We are going to make this all about not our band, and it's going to be a trip through memory lane and nostalgia, but it's not. We are devoting this to a more serious issue than music. I respect it. I do respect it. It's just that I don't feel it's just not effective. It would be way more effective for me if it was, like a Radiohead kind of thing. And it also had this. That's
the other thing I did want to touch on there is just to push back slightly and say, there are exceptions to that. Like Harrow Down Hill as a song is very explicitly about a very specific incident, and a very clear political message, right? Like they have on occasions, and yes, I know that's a Tom York song, not a Radiohead song, but there are times when they have specifically written music about specific issues, in memory of Harry Patch, right? That is a political song written on a war poem, effectively, and they put that out. They have done it. So I'm not. Sure. I'm not disagreeing. I think as a whole, you're correct that they are more ambiguous in their meaning or lyricism, but there are exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, Harrow Down. I was just looking at the lyrics of Harrow Down Hill, and there's no. I mean, apart from Harrow Down Hill, which is a town in Oxfordshire, they're not referencing anything specific.
No, they are. They if you look up the thing about Harrow Down Hill, that was where a political's insider's body was found. The whole description of the song is about the government looking the other way when they murdered someone.
Right, but they're not really being he's not really being specific there, is what I'm saying. In the lyrics, if you just isolate the lyrics.
Did I fall or was I pushed? Did I fall or was I pushed? I think it's fairly explicit. If you know the situation they're talking about.
Sure.
If you don't know the situation that
But that's just the low bar of I just want some room to kind of play around with it in my own head. That's what I love about art. And it also just had this other, just last thing on this, it also just had this kind of weird reverse effect on me. I've been listening to Massive Attack since early 2000s, and all of these songs that I love and know so intimately, now with the political messaging that I saw at the concert, now it's kind of reshaped how I respond to those songs, almost as if you're reading a book after watching the movie. You kind of just now the characters are the actors are in your head.
See a different way. Yeah.
And so it just that was annoying. But I mean, they were fantastic. I should say that they were really great. And everyone that I spoke to thought I was a fucking moron for even gently raising some of these concerns immediately after the concert. But I don't know. Thanks for hearing me out on that. I appreciate it.
That's all right. I can see why that would. I'm sure you weren't the only one there who left that concert being it was a bit much, wasn't it? Yeah. But differences of opinion.
Yeah. Do you want to end on a laugh? Yeah. Oh, we've been fucking.
I do have one small bit of follow up, which is the least elegant segue that we could have from the complexities of art in the Free Palestine movement. Do you remember when I got that flat tire on my trip to the West Coast?
The West Bank?
Yeah, the West Coast. Well, good news. I said in that episode, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, that I had to get 2 tires replaced, and I was going to submit to the government that they need to pay for it because it happened on a state highway. Well, updates galore, Michael. I got $400 back from the fucking government. This dude here didn't have to pay to get his tires fixed. Hell yeah. Take
Sticking
photos.
it to the man.
Send it in the form. And
New
get
Zealand
your tires
dollars.
refunded.
New Zealand dollars.
New
Though.
Zealand
That's
dollars.
what.
New
It's
Zealand
probably
dollars, yeah,
$250. Yeah. There you go.
People fight for the people. You know,
Dude, well done. You in the same
David
way.
versus Goliath.
Dude, this is my Free Palestine. Is your battle against
And now watch my documentary, please.
the Warratungi Council. Is that racist? Was that
No, it was a good stab at something that's wrong, but sounds vaguely Kiwi.
Sure. All right. Leave it in.
Yeah.
Leave it in. Warratungi.
Okay, you have to go back.
Warratungi. I love the Warratungi people. The people of Warratungi. Beautiful people.
Yeah, now it sounds a little bit more like an
Can't change a
Aboriginal.
tire to save their life, but beautiful, beautiful people. Warratungi.
Okay.
I like to call them the Warratungalese.
This is the end of the podcast.
Just fade me out doing Trump. Like a lullaby.